Okay, great. Looks like we are recording. So thank you all so much for joining this breakout group. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting session. We have about an hour where we're going to hear from the different CSAs who are here in this group. I think you've all been briefed to prepare a presentation from your CSA on the successes and the challenges that you've had this year, and anything else that any lessons that you've learned in 2020. So I think you've been briefed to have a 5-minute presentation, and we're hoping to have a discussion at the end. So I'm just going to recap the countries that I'm expecting to have in this breakout room. So I'm expecting to have people from Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, and the Philippines in this breakout group. And I'm also just going to copy and paste into the chat box the names of the people that I'm expecting to be here. And if you don't see your name on that list, let me know, and we can see if you're supposed to be in another breakout group or if you were just you joined later on, which is also absolutely fine. So I will begin just by introducing myself, because I'm not sure that I've had the pleasure of you. Hannah, advocacy at the Sun CSN Secretariat. And I might not have met a few of you because I only joined the Secretariat in May of this year. So since then, I've had the pleasure of working with Minata, who is in this room with us now, and the other Sun Youth Leaders for Nutrition, as I help to coordinate that programme. And it's been a real pleasure getting to know Minata and the other youth leaders. And I also support with some advocacy work at the Secretariat. So that is an introduction from me. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves in the chat. And I think for each of you who will be presenting, it would be great if you could maybe introduce yourselves again. So before we start with our presentations, I just wanted to ask who will be representing, who will be providing the presentation from each country today. So can you unmute yourself and let me know if you are the person who will be presenting from Kyrgyzstan?
I think there's supposed to be Gulmira, but she's not here.
Okay, thanks, Minata. Maybe in that case, we will wait to see if Gulmira arrives later, and if not, we will we'll try and find and see if she's in one of the other breakout groups. So in that case, let's move on then for now and ask, is there someone here who is going to be presenting from Pakistan?
I'll be presenting from Pakistan. I'm coordinator for Civil Society Alliance here.
Excellent. Great to have you here. Thanks, Aliyah. That's fantastic. We'll look forward to your presentation. And finally, is there a person here who will be presenting for the Philippines?
Yes, hi, Hannah. This is Emily Oro from Sun CSA Philippines, and I'll be presenting. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, great to have you both here, Emily and Aliyah. I think if it's okay with you both, we might go in alphabetical order. So obviously, Gulmira from Kyrgyzstan, we would be going first with her, but the next country alphabetically is Pakistan. So Aliyah, would you mind going first with your presentation?
Yeah, that is okay. I'll go first.
Fantastic. Are you okay to share your slides, or would you like me to get them up on screen?
Yes, I'll share my slides.
Fantastic. Okay, in that case, you have the floor. You've got about I would say about 5 or 10 minutes. I think we have a little bit longer because we don't have so many CSAs in here. So I think, yeah, if you have about 10 minutes max, that should be absolutely fine. So take it away.
Yeah, Hannah, thank you. And let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Okay.
Hopefully everyone else can.
Yes, we can see. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'll try to keep it brief and within time. Regarding Sun CSA Pakistan, The alliance was established in 2014, late 2014, that is December, and currently we have 162 members, civil society organizations from all across Pakistan, representing all the provinces and regions. The convener for the alliance is Nutrition International in Pakistan, and the secretariat is also with the Nutrition International, and that's where I also sit. And we have a steering committee. The governance structure is that there is a general body comprised of all the members, and the members select the executive committee from their respective provinces and regions. There is a 15-member executive committee from all the four provinces and the regions. We have recently finalized the draft of our second 5-year strategy, that is from 2020 to 2025. And previously, we have successfully completed our first 5-year strategy and achieved all the objectives that we have and targets that we have set for that. And you can see on the screen our social media contacts, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well, with Scaling Up Nutrition Civil Society Alliance Pakistan name. So the overall achievements, you can see a brief overview of our 2020 achievements. I'll focus only on 2020, but as all of you know that these achievements or the successes that we gain at any specific point in time is not only limited or not only related to that point in time. Actually, it is the result of all the advocacy work that we have been doing since 2014, and it is leveraging on all that work that we have been doing throughout the years. So the overall outcome, if I can see that in 2020, is that nutrition, our work has mostly been focused on the policy level. We have very successfully sensitized the policymakers regarding nutrition. We have conducted numerous orientations in the past, and this year we have prioritized the nutrition at the policy level in the COVID-19 context, because initially when the COVID outbreak, just prior to the COVID outbreak, we have had a national nutrition conference here, which was inaugurated by the president himself, president of Pakistan, and we had the commitments from the highest level in the government from the for nutrition prioritization at the policy and program level. But for immediately after that, there was a COVID outbreak throughout the world, and we know that it has disrupted every walk of life. So it has impacted the work here as well, but we are now getting back on track and trying to highlight the importance of nutrition and reprioritization at the policy and program level, because the this pandemic has highlighted the importance of focusing on nutrition even more. Food and nutrition security has become even more relevant after this COVID outbreak. And since I would say March onwards, the civil society has a robust response, given a robust response to COVID relief and response activities, and making them nutrition sensitive. And our organizations have reached more than 950,000 people with their different kind of activities for relief and response, including food support and personal protection equipment and hygiene and awareness and all those things. So this has basically number one included the multi-sectoral aspect, highlighted the multi-sectoral aspect of addressing malnutrition in the COVID context, and specifically for averting malnutrition, that is staring us in the face, because the food and nutrition security situation in Pakistan was not very good even before this COVID pandemic. But after that, when things have been disrupted so much, the malnutrition is surely will rise, and there is every indication that malnutrition will worsen. So the importance of addressing the malnutrition at the multi-sectoral level has become even more important. So the overall achievements, the things that we have achieved so far is that in this year we have been engaging with the policymakers since 2014, and tried to mainstream nutrition at the policy level. This year we have engaged the parliamentary task force. There is a parliamentary task force that oversees SDGs commitments and the work being done on that area. So we have engaged that parliamentary task force and discussed with them the importance of nutrition, and especially parliamentary oversight for having a parliamentary oversight for nutrition related programs and their implementation, and the making policies more nutrition sensitive. So we have had a very positive response from that SDG task force, and we have engaged 15 new parliamentary nutrition champions for mobilizing, who actually committed to mobilize for that parliamentary oversight mechanism. Then, as I mentioned earlier, that we have had a national nutrition conference, and we have also been able to publish and document nutrition sensitive approaches for multi-sectoral nutrition response in the form of a first nutrition focused edition of Pakistan Journal of Public Health. That is a leading scientific journal in the country, and we have actually had a nutrition focused edition with the collaboration of Health Services Academy that publishes that journal. So, and then we have a 5-year strategy, which was developed through a very consultative process and in line with the national and global nutrition goals, especially SUN CSN and SUN 3.0 was kept in mind. We are waiting for SUN 3.0 to be finalized so that we can have an overview of our strategy and keep it aligned with the SUN 3.0 as it finally comes out. Then we have had capacity building of more than 100 CSOs for nutrition programming, because we believe that not only talking about nutrition is important, but the CSOs should walk the talk as well and have their own programs, embed nutrition sensitivity into their different programs that they are undertaking. And then contextualized nutrition advocacy, and also COVID-19 response in emergencies. We are having webinars because you know that physical meetings and physical advocacy has been disrupted because of COVID. So all these trainings and meetings and webinars have been taken to the virtual platform, and we have built capacity of organization for using these virtual platforms, and are using this medium to conduct these activities as well. We have also developed, as with nutrition focused edition of Pakistan Journal of Public Health, we have also developed policy briefs for advocacy on different issues, especially for multi-sectoral nutrition programming and response, then legislative response at the national level, and data driven decisions at the district level. So we have covered different tiers of the administration and for advocacy as well. Then our organizations have had radio and social media campaigns for nutrition and multi-sectoral linkages, and COVID nutrition sensitivity of COVID messages, because we were seeing that the messages that were being given out by the government and different organizations were mostly focused on the health aspect only, and talking about the prevention and how to prevention and protection, but not linking it with the that how these prevention and protection and the resilience building efforts can build the nutrition status of the individual, and what is the link between the two. So we actually had different messages made nutrition sensitive and had the social media and radio campaign. You can see on our Facebook and Twitter these messages that we have had developed. These are basically adapted messages that WHO, UNICEF, Government of Pakistan, and different agencies were uh, giving out. We have only compiled them and made them nutrition sensitive, so that we can highlight the link. And then we have also facilitated our organizations, member organizations, to for their access to the virtual platforms by facilitating to have subscriptions of Zoom or Teams or these kind of virtual meeting spaces. Then Nutrition Cannot Wait campaign. You all must be aware of this campaign that ACG and Sun CSN is undertaking. We have integrated our different activities with Nutrition Cannot Wait campaign. We have developed and shared brief and material with our members, and hashtag of Nutrition Cannot Wait and logo of ACG is used in the poster and banners of the different activities that is being done by Sun CSA members during the World Breastfeeding Week, especially. Then it is there on all our social media posts, and we have also launched our social media campaign around this theme as well. So, what successes do we have? Although we cannot claim that all these successes were only due to Sun CSA's work, but our work was pivotal and had a major contribution in having nutrition commitment and actions from the highest government level. There is a National Nutrition Coordination Council that was established in late 2019, and it is chaired by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and that is the commitment from the highest government level possible for nutrition programming and guidance. And then there is a National Nutrition Forum that is led by Planning Commission, Planning Ministry of Planning Development and Special Initiatives in Pakistan, which also is basically hosting the National Sun Secretariat. So then we have a nutrition integration in COVID-19 response. We have advocated and engaged SAS program, that is the main delivery program for ration distribution and food support to the affected people. And we have advocated, and they are using the fortified food items, that is fortified salt and oil and ghee in the government ration packages, and we have also asked our members to use these fortified materials. And then there is a recently government has launched an SAS Nasho Numa program that is focused on stunting reduction through conditional cash transfer of poor families. Then there is policymakers support for parliamentary oversight mechanism for nutrition and making food and nutrition security as a fundamental constitutional right. We have been advocating for this, and our parliamentary nutrition champions have agreed that this is very much there, and the SAS program, that is this basically the flag bearer program for social safety net support, making food and nutrition security as a constitutional fundamental right is in the mandate of that program as well. We are backing that, and we are having a campaign for making this a constitutional and fundamental right in Pakistan. Well, we know that this is a long a way to go, but we have started this journey. Then Nutrition International, we are the secretariat and the convener. We are elected as the co-chair for Development Partners for Nutrition Forum. It is a forum of different development agencies in Pakistan. The challenges, of course, COVID is a big challenge and a stumbling block. It at one time initially halted all the activities of advocacy and outreach. It is still difficult because the second wave has hit many countries and it is again rising in Pakistan as well. And then use of virtual technology and online platform is also a new thing, and it is still a challenge, because especially for the engagement of policy makers, because they are policy and government people, they are used to of having face to face meetings, so it is difficult to get them at one time on one platform. And then not all we all know that not all members organizations are equally involved or active in CSA alliance activities, but we are engaging them and making them play their role. So what did we do? We actually, for mitigation strategy, virtual platform, we have different capacity building and engagement of civil society and other platforms. Then one to one, we have resumed our physical interaction with policy and decision makers. And for frequent engagement of CSA members, we have started a phased decentralization of Sun CSA to district and provincial level, and it is part of our next 5-year strategy as well. So that was all from my side. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aliyah, for that excellent presentation. It sounds like, despite a great many set of challenges that COVID-19 has presented, it sounds like you've had a great many successes as well. So real congratulations on everything that you and your CSA in Pakistan have achieved this year.
Thank you.
No problem. Before we go into a quick question and answer for Aliyah, I just wanted to ask if there was anyone in this group who wouldn't mind being a feedback person to report back to the main group during plenary on what we discussed today. So can I ask for a volunteer who might be happy to do that and just report back on perhaps 3 key points from the various presentations?
Yeah, difficult task to volunteer. Yeah, how are we going to, I'll volunteer, but how are we going to report back to the group?
That's fantastic. Thank you, Aliyah. That's really kind of you. So in terms of reporting back, it will, I suggest perhaps just making note of maybe 3 key discussion points or examples that come out of the discussions that we have after each presentation. So perhaps that could be 1 key discussion point from the conversation we're about to have about your presentation, and then perhaps 1 key point that comes out of the discussion after Kyrgyzstan, and similarly with the Philippines. But also we will have hopefully a bit of time at the end for a general discussion. So I think if we can just aim for about 3 or 4 key points to take back to the plenary, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Is that okay? Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much, Aliyah. That's really kind of you. Okay, in that case, I will then reopen the floor, and we'll have about 3 minutes, I think, for just some quick question and answer for Aliyah's fantastic presentation. So does anyone have any questions?
Well, that's good. There's no question.
That must mean that you said it all. If anyone has any perhaps comments, you're welcome to unmute or put it in the chat. Go ahead.
This is Manata. I just wanted to thank her and say that your presentation was so specific that I literally understand everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manata.
Wonderful. Okay, well, as I say, we will have some time for discussion at the end of all presentations. So perhaps if you don't have a question right now for Ilya, but if one comes up later, then we can have some time for that. But I think for now, then, in the interest of time, we can move on to the next presentation. So I think Gulmira from Kyrgyzstan, you are now in the room with us. Is that right? Would you mind unmuting and just letting us know if you're here?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. Okay, great to have you with us. So I have you set to present for Kyrgyzstan, is that right?
Yes.
Fantastic, I can see your slides there. Okay, in which case, the floor is yours. We're all ears. So you can have, I think, about 5 to 10 minutes for this presentation, and then we'll have a bit of time for discussion afterwards. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to present our achievements, success, and barriers. This first slide is the map of the Kyrgyzstan. I want to start with a short presentation of the country. Our neighbors are Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China. And our area is almost 200,000 square kilometers. Population is 6.5 million people. And the provinces where we are working now, Isikul province and Narin province, you can see on the map. Our CSA, the name of our CSA is CSA Sun Kyrgyzstan. The alliance was formed in March 2015 and united 52 members today. The alliance is hosted by the CSA, Civil Society Alliance for Nutrition and Food Security. We have a governing body, general meeting, and the executive committee. And we have two subnational coordinators in and Isikul. We have the CSA Strategic Development Plan for 2020-2023, and you can see on the slide our website and our social media contacts. What is our the most important achievement? Outcomes, it is two functioning subnational multi-stakeholder platforms at province level in Narin province and in Isikul province. Two province governments involved in the development of subnational plans for 2020. 44 government agencies, civil society organizations, business organizations, and subnational nutrition plans were joint products of the government agencies, civic and business organizations, local communities, and each of them attracted resources to implement nutrition plans. Also in 2020, two reviews of subnational nutrition plans were conducted in a participatory way. And additionally, this year, about $15,200 were attracted for the implementation of these plans. Why these platforms and plans were important for us? The province offices of the government took leadership in coordination of subnational plans, and plans focused on specific needs of local communities, consolidating the efforts of stakeholders. Contribution of CSA. Two organizations worked into province. They are CSA members. They provided technical and logistic support to province level governments in conducting subnational nutrition plans reviews. In total, 4 big meetings, many small meetings were organized, engaging stakeholders from different sectors in discussion of the results of the nutrition plan's implementation. And residents of 12 vulnerable villages, activists from the villages participated in those meetings and could voice their needs and suggestions. Next slide. This is picture of Kyrgyz children. They go for water because water is the main problem, main challenge in Kyrgyzstan. The next slide, Nutrition Cannot Wait campaign activities. We prepared the plan according to our activities within different projects, but the main effort we did within this campaign was promotion of the law on the protection of the breastfeeding. We worked through media advocacy, appeals to parliamentarians through social networks to review the law on breastfeeding protection. We distributed the data from the report on monitoring of the law, and we detected the violations of the law and used analysis of existing mechanisms on reporting violations of the law. What results we had? We have this year. The mechanism of reporting violations of the law on breastfeeding protection, which we found recognized, was practiced for the first time. We found a violation of the law in terms of advertising and filed a complaint with state agency for anti-monopoly regulation under the government of the Kyrgyz Republic, and we had result. Individuals promoting infant formula in social networks removed advertising, and the organization distributor of breast milk substitutes received a warning from the state agency for anti-monopoly regulation. It was big achievements for us because in Kyrgyzstan some punishment, some sanction was used the first time. This is picture where we discussion on the TV the mechanisms of addressing when we found the violations of the law. Our successes, our biggest achievement, success, was preventing attempts to permit import of unfortified flour by proposing amendments to the law on flour fortification during COVID pandemic. CSA members prepared and implement an action plan using online communication platforms and made a joint appeal to the government, to president, members of parliament, relevant ministries, which took part in approval of the draft of the law, and development partners. Then we prepared and distributed the press releases in the media and social networks, filmed and posted on our YouTube channel an interview with an influential the head of the National Center for Mother and Child Well-being. And a result we had was the draft of the law on flour fortification was not approved by the relevant ministries. these pictures of our fortified flour. We mark the fortification fortified flour with this symbol. This picture of women who prepares bread from fortified flour. The most big challenges for the country we met was quarantine and lockdown due to COVID pandemic, loss of income for daily income seekers, limited access to food for vulnerable groups, limited access and reduced availability of health services provision. Health providers lack knowledge of infant young children feeding best practices, including if COVID-19 is suspected or confirmed. And mothers are concerned about breastfeeding during the pandemic. Biggest challenges for CSA were lack of communication between stakeholders, no in-person communication as in traditional channels, no trainings, meetings, distribution of information materials. But problems turned into new opportunities. We discovered online communication tools and we used it actively. Second biggest challenge for us was unstable political situation. The results of parliamentary elections were invalidated due to numerous violations. And on 5th, 6th October, there was a political unrest in the country. The resignation of the president, new parliament and presidential elections are expected. And now currently we don't have some movement coordinator in Kyrgyzstan. This is picture of these days. We had very big unrest days. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gulmira. Once again, it sounds like in the face of a really difficult year, it sounds like you've had some really concrete successes, you know, among them one of our biggest challenges, breast milk substitutes. So you've had a huge win there with those social ads being taken down, and of course the law not being passed on the baking flour as well. That's really, really concrete successes to be counted for this year, despite the unrest that you've mentioned, and of course the pandemic that has affected so many of us so deeply. So real congratulations to you and your team for everything that you've been able to achieve this year. So now we do have some time for questions or comments for Gulmira. So if anyone has anything they'd like to ask or share, please do unmute yourself and go ahead, or you can also put a question in the chat box as well.
Hi Gulmira, this is Alison. Thanks for a great presentation. Really interesting to hear what's been happening there in Kyrgyzstan. I had one question. I'm interested actually to ask this probably of all the presenters today, and it relates to sort of motivating members, because for the most part, it's a sort of voluntary membership of the CSA. Do you have any best practices for volunteer for engaging members and sort of ensuring their involvement, even though there's not normally any remuneration or anything else like that involved?
Did you catch all of that, Gulmira?
Yes. Yes, many of our members are volunteers in CSA, and it is difficult to motivate them to perform some common activities. But Always when we have some challenges in nutrition in our country, we appeal to the members of CSA, and we have response from them because they aware importance and significance of the issues we arise, and always we have a response. For this, we have the very big channel to communicate what's up. In our practice, we had 3 or 4 cases when we appealed to sign some documents with some messages to government or to the president, and our members gave their agreeing with this document and signed the document, and we could send it to the high level of government. This is first practice, and second practice, I think that it is best practice is working with multi-stakeholder platform at subnational level. Members of the subnational platforms and members of CSA at the province level understood that their coordination, cooperation helps to improve their lives in their communities, and it is biggest motivation for them to join to CSA and to the advocacy of CSA. I answered your question.
Thanks, Gulmira. Yes, you did. That's really interesting, especially to know about the successes at the subnational level. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I think we might have time for one more question at this point, but once again, we will have a bit of time for discussion at the end of all presentations. So does anyone else?
Yeah, I would, this is Alia. I would like to have a question. Gulmira, thank you so much for a very interesting presentation. I would just like to ask, you mentioned that for breast milk substitute law that implementation has been enacted, and you have in your country first time penalties placed on different violators. Can you tell us something? What kind of penalties were those? I mean, were those fines or imprisonment or what? Thank you.
Thank you for question. We investigated our legislation, and we didn't find any essential penalty because in last years the Codex on Administrative Penalties was reviewed, and many important things were cancelled. And but we found one mechanism, very important mechanism. It is penalty for advertising the breast milk substitutes in mass media and internet. And this penalty is very small, but it is it works. The sanctions in some of the penalty in some of 17,000 soms It is about $200. It is not big because the companies are rich and can pay this penalty, but the social response to this case was very big, and it was very important for the company. Thank you.
Thank you, Gulmira.
That's a really interesting reflection there, Gulmira, that sometimes even if the fine isn't necessarily a big punishing one for these companies that have a lot of money, the kind of social cost of something like this can be greater than the financial cost. So yeah, well, that's a really interesting reflection. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I think with that said, we now have time to go into our final presentation, and that was from the Philippines. I believe, was it Emily who was going to present from the Philippines?
Yes, Hannah, I will do the presentation. Can I ask Gulmira to close her presentation?
Yeah, that's great. I think Gulmira, if you just, there we go, just stop sharing your screen. That's fantastic. Over to you then, Emily. And once again, you've got about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll go into a wider discussion.
Yeah. Can you hear? Can you see the presentation now?
Yeah, it's clear on my screen.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, hello to everyone. I'm Emily Oro from the International Institute of Rural Reconstruction. We are the founding member of Sun Civil Society Alliance Philippines, and I'm happy to share with you experiences and accomplishments for this year. Although, as what our colleagues from other members of Sun CSA Asia had mentioned, there are a lot of limitations posted by, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. The Sun Civil Society Alliance Philippines, or Sun CSAPH, officially was formed in February 22, 2017 with 13 international and national non-government organizations. It is hosted by PhilCan. It's Philippine Coalition of Advocates for Nutrition Security, which is a nutrition network in the Philippines even before the Sun movement. So we thought it's a good idea to just capitalize on this existing network. Steering committee is with PhilCan, and currently we don't have subnational groups. That's something that we are still trying to establish. We have an existing strategy plan that was actually prepared based on the theory of change of Sun CSA before, but we're planning to update that and align it with the Sun 3.0 by early next year, because we're supposed to do our review and planning by next year. In terms of the overall achievements, I think given all the limitations, we're happy that there are still a lot of milestones that the Civil Society Alliance had achieved. One of which is in March 5, 2020. This was actually just before the quarantine was posted in Manila. We were able to hold our General Assembly to orient 110 delegates representing 55 civil society organizations about the Sun movement and the potential role of the different sectors in improving nutrition of Filipinos. This is very important for us because I think one of the main agenda is to grow the Civil Society Alliance as well as to make it more visible so that the organization grows. So in here, we are happy that we were able to gather those organizations. And one of the things also that was important was the participation of a lot of stakeholders. And the event also aims to map nutrition-specific and nutrition-sensitive programs of CSOs. And we're hoping that such exposure to the General Assembly will inspire them to become engaged in the Alliance. We're also happy that the gathering was participated by 4 media partners. Again, it's the visibility that is part of the advocacy of the Alliance. And we were able to disseminate the nutrition agenda of the SUN CSA Philippines as well as the UN Global Ambassador for SUN movement. And in that event, there was that very nice activity wherein the delegates pledged their commitment to end malnutrition through symbolic signing. And we used that big puzzle that was formed, the challenge to act now to end malnutrition. So we thought that that was one of a very successful event that we had achieved in 2020. So this is the photograph of that General Assembly. So here we also actually have some government organization. Some of them had also participated and provided some inputs. Another achievement that we would want to share is about the work that the SUN movement had done in terms of nutrition-sensitive programming. I think this year, and this is linked to the project of SUN CSA PH funded by SUN Pooled Fund, that really looks at strengthening the capacity of civil society organization as well as various government agencies on nutrition-sensitive programming. And in this particular project, for lead implementing partners for the SUN CSAPH members, ADRA, IRRR, World Vision, and Plan International, were able to work at the local level, engaging the local government units. Bottom line here is we really would want nutrition to be reflected in the local development plans, have a local nutrition action plans, and where clear nutrition sensitive interventions will be budgeted for. So ultimately, that's what we have wanted to happen, the incorporation of the local nutrition action plans, and was supported by local issuances. So this incorporation of nutrition-sensitive interventions in the local nutrition action plan and local protection of children ensures sustainability of the project. The project actually had ended, the SUN Pooled Fund supported project ended in September, but we are confident that some of the interventions that we have initiated as we partnered with the local government unit will still continue because they are already reflected in their plan and they have allocated a budget for it. So I think in terms of the contribution of the SUN CSA, the mentoring, the facilitation was really done by the SUN CSA members. They support the local nutrition council, facilitating the development of the local nutrition action plans. And this resulted to a lot of issuances at the local level to adopt the nutrition action plan, as well as this protection of children plans, which was one of the things that World Vision was doing. In our site in Ginyangan, they also formalized the integrated of the local nutrition action plan to a resolution. So just some photos wherein our local partners are actively engaged in the review, in the planning, and in looking at their financial plans. Yeah, of course, we supported the Nutrition Cannot Wait campaign activities, and we also link it up with our current project on nutrition sensitive programming. There are a lot of activities that we have done. We actually had an online learning exchange with the various members of the SAN CSA Philippines, as well as with other um, civil society organizations. There were some guesting, especially during the Nutrition Month. Of course, we have a lot of online and virtual conferences and appearances. So we took advantage of those opportunities to articulate as well as share our nutrition messages. But I think the one of the key things that we have developed is this video case stories. This is also linked to the nutrition sensitive project that we had. So the 4 sub-national level local project was documented again through the support of Pooled Fund, and this were released to the social media page of SAN CSA PH as part of the advocacy of the campaign. Here, it talks about the various nutrition-sensitive approaches that was tested and implemented on the ground. We have community savings group. How do you make it nutrition-sensitive? Our community nutrition program, the biointensive gardening program, home gardens, and to what extent this can really support food security and nutrition interventions, particularly of the first 1,000 days and the most marginalized groups in the community. Now, yeah, these are some of the challenges that we have with the videos and all. And I think like the challenge that was shared by Pakistan, definitely the members of the alliances, they are so busy, and most of us also are doing COVID responses. So sometimes it's really difficult. You have to follow up a lot to be able to gather materials that can be used for the campaigns. One of the things that we have done, like any other alliances, is also to contribute to the COVID responses. So same here in the Philippines, even up to now, we're still having a lot of problems with the pandemic. And one of the things that we have done is to document all these COVID responses. We consolidated it in one material, and that is also a way for consolidating the efforts of the alliance. And we're happy to be able to contribute, reaching 4 million individuals, 800 plus health facilities in response to the COVID-19. And this consolidated output was released, of course, as part of the Nutrition Can't Wait. So here is the material that we had. So the idea was to ask each of the organization what they have been doing in COVID response. And we put together and consolidate the material so that you have a sense of working together. I think in terms of the challenges, aside from the COVID response, definitely resources is one challenge. And we were able to do a lot because of the Sun Pooled Fund resources that we had. And fortunately, it ended in September. This is one thing that we have also shared during the SAN joint assessment we had very recently in the Philippines, organized by the National Nutrition Council. And one of the things that we have suggested is really to have that bilateral meetings, for example, with the donor network, which is now being established in the Philippines, with the private sector or the business network, which is also, the alliance in the civil society, I think, is the earliest Sun network in the Philippines. So the rest are just being organized. So we said we will be proactively trying to seek resources and help from the private sector, the donor network, as well as the various agencies in the Philippines to be able to continue to support the work that we are doing, because there are a lot of things that we still need to follow up in terms of nutrition sensitive programming. For example, there is already a technical working group on nutrition sensitive program comprising the different agency, like the Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Department of Social Welfare and Development, Department of Agrarian Reform. And we already had one great meeting. So we thought we need to push forward, and our main agenda really is to increase investment in nutrition via nutrition sensitive programming. I think that is my last slide. Yeah, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing that with us. What a comprehensive presentation that was. So real thanks to you for putting that together for us. You may have seen that Danish has just posted in the chat that we should be coming back to the plenary in about 10 minutes time now. So I'm going to suggest that we have a couple of minutes to ask Emily questions on her presentation specifically, and then after that we can move into a more generalized discussion on what we've heard today. So does anyone have any questions, first of all, that are particularly related to Emily's presentation? No, if there are no questions, I think, again, that might mean, Emily, that you said it all. So
that's good.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions for Emily, we can absolutely answer those when we have a general discussion. But you've got some praise in the chat there, Emily, for a great presentation. So in that case, I suggest that we perhaps move into a more general discussion now, just to reflect on the presentations that we've heard today. So does anyone have any general reflections or things that they'd like to share from their own experience over the last year?
Okay, so this is Alia. I would just like to share my observation that in our group, actually, we have covered a range of different levels from where different CSAs have been working. Like the Philippines, they have given, Emily has given an excellent example and the lesson learned that from their success, that they have successfully included nutrition sensitive interventions in the local government actions plan. And that's where we all know that the sustainability lies, that when the government, especially at the local level, takes over and continue what has been initiated, because we all know that CSOs cannot go on working indefinitely for any specific task, and the government or the establishments that are there have to take that over. Then we all face problems in the implementation of laws, and the example of Kyrgyzstan, how they have advocated and made their presence known by blocking the permission of non-fortified wheat flour during the pandemic. And it is, we all know what emergency was that, and how urgent the situation must be, but they have successfully advocated and made them heard, made their voices heard. And secondly, the BMS code prevention violation implementation. That is really something that we all aspire to. And then from Pakistan, we have a policy level engagement and mainstream of nutrition and commitment from the highest level. So these are all basically connections in a same chain. If we can have all these three levels in one country, that would be an ideal situation, and that is where we are all trying to move things towards. And I hope that we can achieve that by learning from each other. That's all that I wanted to add. Thank you.
Absolutely, Aliyah. I think you've made some really great connections between those sort of issues there. Emily has said that those are excellent points. Does anyone have any reflections on what Aliyah has shared there?
Yeah, this is Manate, and I wanted to say that like no matter what is going on in the country, civil society are the ones who are continue working. Like in Kyrgyzstan, we are having revolution, and we are still having it here. But Gulbira and the rest of the team there keep working, and this must be appreciated. Thank you.
That's such a good point, Manata, and I think it's really important to highlight the different challenges that each individual country has. And I think in a year like this one, where we've had a global pandemic affecting us all, which we can all relate to, it's important to also understand that each country has its own sort of individual challenges at the same time. And that's why I think, you're absolutely right to highlight the fact that the work that civil society can do is so important, and the fact that we are all able to sort of come together as a network and collaborate, I think hopefully is something that can help us all to do even better and deliver even more for the people that we work with. So thank you so much for sharing that, Manata. Are there any final reflections or comments or anything that's been missed in our breakout session today that anyone would like to just share before we head back to the plenary?
Yeah, this is Alia again. Sorry, I'm butting in again and again, but I would just like to highlight the challenge that was mentioned by Emily, and that is the challenge that we all face regarding the sustainable flow of funds and lack of and limited funds that actually impedes much work that CSOs do and want to do. So a constant challenge that we have to tackle with, and we have to maybe look for some semi-sustainable solutions, if not sustainable ones. Yeah, that is what I'd like to add.
Absolutely. Does anyone have anything to add to that on funding? I think we can all share similar frustrations around that area, but does anyone have anything to add?
Hello.
Hi there.
Yes, T speaking. I all Cambodian and CSA Cambodia as well. So yeah, I just would like to share a little bit what recently happened in Cambodia. So on 3rd November 2020, before yesterday, yes, before yesterday, yeah. So we launched national strategy for food security and nutrition. 2029 and 2023 at the Council for Agriculture and Rural Development card at the office of the ministers. So this is the effort from the Sun CSA led by Helen Keller International as well. We collaborated with other organizations like FAO, World Food Program, Here another organization as well. Like we have SAN CSA in Cambodia. So far, we have 60 organizations. And so I think this is a positive result from SAN CSA Cambodia in 2020. And recently, the Prime Minister Hun Sen, he recommended to push the national strategy has been launched before yesterday, and also to support the civil society and the government to collaborate together to establish the working group at the national and the subnational levels for promoting the food security and nutrition. So this is just a new.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think that sounds like there's some really exciting things coming out of Cambodia there, and it's fantastic that you've got such high level support from the government in that area. I know from working with Borme, who I'm sure you'll know is the youth leader in Cambodia, that there's also some really exciting progress on youth engagement and leadership with nutrition from the highest level as well, which we'll be hearing more about shortly when we return to the plenary. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Unfortunately, I think we are going to have to come away from our small breakout group now, and we're going to return to the plenary. So in a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to click the link that you will see that Andy has just posted in the chat box here. But first, I wondered if, Aaliyah, very briefly, you might be able to just quickly recap what points you'll be sharing back in the plenary.
Yeah, okay. So actually what I commented earlier about different levels of lessons that lessons learned and best practices that we have seen in our group shared by different members from policy to the local government level, and the role of civil society alliances in engaging those levels and how that has been successful. I think I would share that, and what Manata said, that no matter what the situation may be in any country, like we are having revolution in Kyrgyzstan, and then we are having pandemic, but the CSO's role is very important, and it is a continuous role in their own manner. Plus the challenge that we all face, that is of the sustainability and resources. That is a constant challenge that is facing civil society alliances all over the region, and I believe all over the globe as well. So these are the points that we need to, these are the lessons that we need to take away from this session, and this is the challenge that we need to come up with a solution. Is that all, or would you like to me to add something else?
That sounds fantastic to me. I think you've captured really well some of the common themes that were coming up in the various presentations. So I think with that said, we can now return to the plenary, and Aaliyah, it will be fantastic for you to share those points. And I just want to say thank you all so much for taking part in this breakout group today. It's been a pleasure to hear from you all, and look forward to seeing you over in the plenary. So if you could click the link that Andy has posted in the chat box there, that will take us back to the main room. So I will see you all there.